My question to you is, when you think aluminium, nothing exciting really comes to your mind, and I'm sure you've heard that
Yes,
all
I
the
have heard that. Yes.
all the time. So, how do you how did you approach, how are you approaching content creation? Firstly, who's the audience you're looking at? A lot of your audience wouldn't care to have it boring. They just want it. They just want the information.
Right.
Keeping that in mind, over to you.
Thank you, Parul. And I couldn't have started from a better place myself. So, aluminium, right? It's not even nickel or chromium or something, one of the more sexier metals, so to speak. Um, uh, and the fact of the matter is that it is the second most important metal in the world today, and it is slated to become the most important metal in the world very, very soon after steel. It is slated to displace, wood, steel, plastic, so on and so forth. So, how do you make something as what people would perceive as mundane, glamorous? And what we did was, personally, I think it's very interesting. Because the applications of aluminium are only emerging now, because so we gave it the moniker of the metal of the future. The metal of the present is steel, and has been the metal of the present ever since World War II. But aluminium is slated to be the metal of the future. And what that does is it gives us room to play in the more futuristic space, which is where its applications are emerging. So, for instance, the future of mobility is about to change completely with electric vehicles, with autonomous vehicles. The future of cities is about to change completely with smart cities coming in, right? Space exploration, it's about to change entirely with, privatization of various space programs. And all of these, aviation, packaging, the top beverage companies in the world are moving away from plastic to aluminium packaging, because aluminium is infinitely recyclable. So once you produced it, you keep recycling it over and over. It's non-corrosive. If you've seen the movie Mission Mangal, which we know is a true story, the problem that Akshay Kumar has and Vidya Balan have, they're trying to put a space vehicle that has to go all the way to Mars, and they have to do it at the fraction of a cost that the US is working on. And it has to be really lightweight. So it has to go all that distance, has to overcome this meteoric shower on the way and reach Mars with very little fuel, because fuel, it will not be able to refuel. And what they do is, and this is a true story that ISRO did, they used an aluminium and plastic composite because it's durable, it's light and weight, it'll require less fuel, it'll endure the journey. And that's exactly the kind of problem aluminium is solving in the world today. So all high-rise buildings are not made of brick and mortar anymore. They're made of metal and glass. Your electric vehicles will need to be really, really light, because with little charge, you want to go that much farther. They can't be really heavy, gas guzzling beasts of vehicles. They have to be lightweight. And that's where aluminium comes in, because the strength to weight ratio is very, very high. Packaging, aviation, all aeroplane bodies are made of aluminium. Rockets, ships, all of these are made of aluminium. So the applications are extremely glamorous, and that gives us, with this moniker of it being the metal of the future, a tremendously attractive space to play in from a communications branding perspective.
How do you, would you help us understand your content strategies? Also talk about the AR campaign that you've done. We're really interested to know about that.
Sure. So our content strategy is actually subservient to the target audiences that we want to talk about, and who do we want to be to what target audience. And like my colleague right before me, while some people approach it from a journalistic point of view, we are very clear that we approach communications, PR, branding from a marketeer's point of view. So all of these, and we're like kids in a candy shop, all of these new age technologies, social media, digital, all of it is available to play with in whatever category or form. And then sometimes the most strange applications, and as I'll share some examples with you, which would not really be intuitive. The thing is, in the middle space, which is the space that we operate in, social, digital, etc., they've not really penetrated the category very, very extensively across the world. And hence the conventional wisdom available in the market has sometimes not worked for us. So we've really forged our own way, grappled with our own learnings, pivoted as we've moved along, and then we've made our own paths. So for us, it is essentially the customer journey that we're looking at. Who are we talking to, and what platform are they available on? What is the kind of content they consume? And these could be customers in first world countries to people in villages who operate around our plants. So in the back of beyond, in really remote villages, in the poorest, most remote areas of India, there will be villagers who are also our stakeholders, just as investors or customers in first world countries. So how do you straddle both extremes? And that's where we look at the problem that we have at hand, or we look at the challenge that we want to address, and then go back to see what platform, what content, etc. would be. So to come to the AR campaign, one of our favorite challenges in the manufacturing industry is that there aren't enough women in manufacturing. There have been movies made on Charlize Theron has starred in this movie where there metals and mining has been one of the most notoriously male-dominated sectors in the world. And in India, Vedanta is the largest metals company in India. In aluminium, we produce more than half of India's aluminium. And we are very, very clear that we need more gender diversity in our plants. And our plants are really mammoth plants, some of the biggest plants on the face of the earth in really remote parts of the country. We only hire top-tier talent from top-tier colleges of the country. And we know that women in engineering, women in finance, on the supply side are already very little. And whatever women there are from these top tier colleges, they're not really looking to work in a manufacturing setup. They don't see themselves in a hard hat or in a safety gear or in with industrial goggles or with safety boots and with the safety jacket, etc. So they don't see themselves coming out of top tier colleges to work in a manufacturing setup. And that is one more reason why we have so few women in manufacturing, and we want to change that. And we already have amongst the highest number of women working in Vedanta, but we have really, really ambitious targets for attracting even more female talent into the company. So what do we do about it? Considering manufacturing is not attractive to young women who are coming out of colleges, they want to work for companies like my panelists before me work for. So what we did was we identified that they typically are on Instagram. And we've seen that if we can't bring them to the shop floor, can we bring the shop floor to them? And hence we launched this augmented reality campaign on Instagram to say that, imagine yourself in a hard hat, or imagine yourself a career in a hard hat. And which is where they could use an augmented reality feature on our Instagram handles to visualize themselves in safety gear, in an industrial hat, and in a plant, in a heavy engineering plant, to get a feel of what it would be like. While this got us the requisite eyeballs, we also then channelized the traffic to our website, where we had all the open job postings, and they're very evolved. So data scientists, forensic experts, have some very, very evolved new age vacancies that we have across our businesses. So it takes you to the website where there are all of these open job postings, and then you could apply to them. And we saw a 250% increase in the number of young women wanting to apply and get into our plants in Orissa, in Chhattisgarh, and so on and so forth. Because then with the storytelling, we also bolstered the fact of why is Vedanta a great place to work. So it's heavy engineering, yes, but it's not like you have to do a lot of physical labor. We have extremely digitalized, extremely non-physical oriented work, very cerebral work. So your education comes into play, and you don't really. So our townships come with top-end amenities. They're like any other city that you would be in, and we built that entire storyline straddling across at least 2 or 3 different mediums. So the augmented reality campaign for this segment worked very well for us. While this is a very erudite, educated SCCA-B kind of segment, we also using augmented reality for the other end of the spectrum. So in villages where we have social impact programs running, we have CSR programs running where we've built roads, schools, healthcare facilities for the villagers, and we want them to own some of these facilities that we've created. We've used augmented reality and virtual reality to demonstrate to them, mere sapno ka gaon kaisa ho. So if they participate in the social impact program, and it is not intuitive, right? People don't associate augmented reality with the rural hinterland of India, or to the person who doesn't read or write, but everybody understands immersive technology. So if you show them that, look, if you use the toilets we've made for you, and if you send your children to school, if you ensure that you're preventing your children from seasonal diseases, you get vaccination done from the local primary healthcare hospital that we've equipped you with, send your children to school, then this is what your life could look like, and this is how you preserve your village. Because in the end, we do want to move people away. They migrate from villages to towns to work as migrant laborers. Quality of life is not great for them. Can we retain them in their villages and improve quality of life for them where they are? But for that, they have to see the vision of what life could look like for them if they don't migrate. So we're using immersive technologies to show them how they can stay where they are and use skill development opportunities to forge a better life for themselves wherever they are. So we're working on that pilot currently, but it's fairly interesting. Also using augmented reality for another big topic for us, which is safety. Safety in the industrial setup is priority number one. And we can we can go blue in the face saying these are safe practices and you should practice these kinds of safety techniques. But if you use AR and VR for an immersive experience on what can happen if you potentially don't practice safe behavior at work, then workmen who are not really very clued in on reading a lot of material, etc., they're more intuitive and emotional, and they look more visual learners. It really, really helps them. So for visual learners, imparting critical communication, which is more visual in nature, I think augmented reality and virtual reality have really, really helped us.
It's been a fascinating recap that you've done for us, Sonal. It's really interesting, literally from the stars to cars to the villages. We've heard it all, and how aluminium can be a part of your life. I don't think it ever struck any of us. It didn't strike me, at least, and it has such a wide usage. Sonal, given to the coming to the resource allocation part of it, all of this requires, and speaker after speaker today has said, is that AR is costly. It is a costly campaign exercise. Given that in mind, what is your opinion on when to use AR, and how should you allocate resources for it?
Yes. So like I said, conventional wisdom has not worked for us at all. Whatever we've been advised will work, hasn't. Whatever we've been advised, don't even look that way, has been a blockbuster for us. So, we're blessed in the way that we're, as an organization, we are very okay with experimentation. Vedanta DNA is to experiment, learn, fail fast, fail forward. And that's how that's the philosophy that not just in the business, but that's the philosophy we use for PR and comms as well. So we use very little resources to test out what it would be, because some of these are very nebulous concepts that we kind of distill into the real world to use them, because some of this stuff has never been done before, right? Nobody's used, we don't know of any case studies where virtual reality has been used with women in villages, etc. So we invest a little, learn from the experience. If it works, then we scale it up. If it doesn't work, then we park it for the present, but we revisit it with the learnings that it offers. And sometimes we mix and match. So like I said, it's a marketeer's point of view. There is a need in the market. I will try various things to reach that kind of customer. I will try various things to see what is that customer or consumer consuming, and can I be present there irrespective of channel, irrespective of resources. Obviously, we're looking at the most effective, cost efficient ways to reach them. And that's the beauty of social and digital, that you really can experiment with a lot of stuff almost for free, and then scale it up and put in monies where you think there is a potentially good opportunity.
Thank you, Sonal, for your time. This has been an absolutely wonderful
Pleasure,
discussion, and to really understand the role of aluminium in our lives is actually absolutely fabulous. And the way you approached it creatively, I think it's been absolutely wonderful hearing you talk about it. And I think the message for me is that it's not about resources; it's more about how you can be creative and be tolerant of failure, if of failing forward, like you said. So with that, we come to a conclusion to today's session of Chai Talk. Vishnu
Thank you,
Priya
Parul.
from, thank you, Sonali. Thank you so much. Vishnu Priya was supposed to join us, but she's had an exigency with her laptop and she's unable to join. We'll share her points later with you all in the story. Thank you to the audience for sparing 2 hours of your time today. Like to thank Pritha for all the support and Weber Shandvik for all the support in making this happen. I'd like to thank Soumya for her support in planning the podcast. Thank you, all of you. Have a good day. We'll be out for the story soon, and the links of that will be shared with all of you. Thank you so much.